praises are for Almighty Allah, who are the most compassionate, the most merciful, the most kind. The creator of all that there was, is, ever will be. If we can imagine Almighty Allah in any way, shape or form, then that is not Allah. Whoever Almighty Allah gives to, none can take from. Whoever Almighty Allah takes from, none can give to. All of Almighty Allah's praises are for their Habib, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, the one to whom Almighty Allah has bestowed upon the most honorable names, the most magnificent titles, the most beautiful attributes. Almighty Allah have elevated the maqam, the shan, the remembrance, the greatness, the everything of their Habib sallallahu alayhi wa sallam to the highest limits. And not only are they at the highest limits, with each passing second, Almighty Allah elevates the greatness of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam higher and higher. If we can imagine the greatness of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in any way, shape or form, then that is not Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Only Almighty Allah know the true reality of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Almighty Allah are our sustainer because of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Almighty Allah are our maintainer because of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Almighty Allah are Rahim to creation because of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Almighty Allah are Kareem to creation because of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. They are the cause of creation, the reason of creation, and in Allah's own words, they are the best of creation. And one of the great commands of Almighty Allah is that we are to rejoice, celebrate, publicize, advertise the great favors of Almighty Allah. And Almighty Allah, they have blessed us with so many favors that if we had the time, we had the knowledge, then the beginning of time till the end of time would not be enough to count the favors of Almighty Allah. But the greatest favor of Almighty Allah are the revealing of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. It is because of this revealing that we have the Quran Kareem, that we have the namaz, that we know that Allah is one. We know how to worship Almighty Allah. And if we have the Quran Kareem, it is because of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. They are the greatest favor of Almighty Allah. And how do we celebrate this favor? We celebrate this favor like this gathering here. This is how Almighty Allah chose the chosen ones, the messengers, the prophets in a gathering like this, and taught them how to praise Rasulullah. Why? As Sahib so beautifully teaches, it is in gatherings like this where Almighty Allah put the love of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam into our hearts. And this is the way that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam taught the companions how to praise them. And Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, they had the most humble character. But because they knew this was the salvation to everything, they taught the companions how to praise them. And how they did this, there was one companion by the name of Hazrat Hassan bin Sabit, and Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam used to make them stand on the Mimbar Sharif, and Hazrat Hassan bin Sabit, they used to recite and write poetry in praise of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And alhamdulillah, this is what Hazrat Sahib and Sahibji are teaching us, is to hold gatherings like this. Why? Because it is in these gatherings with their looks that they put the love of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. May Almighty Allah bless us with the companionship of Hazrat Sahib and Sahibji in this world and in the next. As-salatu was-salamu alayka ya Sayyidi.